coming in at $1,150 here in the States. This is the MSI Claw A8. This is the AMD Z2 Extreme powered version of MSI's handhelds for PC gaming. I'm a huge fan of these handhelds. I love them all. I've got a huge addiction problem to them, and I'm willing to spend a little extra money to get something like this because I think it's the right size and it has good comfort, great performance, a big 80 watt hour battery. To me, this is what I've been looking for. It's kind of like a unicorn device right now because you can get handhelds with 8-inch screens, actually probably the exact same 8-inch screen that do not have large batteries. And you can get handhelds with bigger screens that to me are just a little too big. Or handhelds with great battery size like the Xbox ROG Ally X, but it has a 7-inch screen, which I think is too small. In fact, I had to return mine because I was getting headaches. But I'm also like in my 40s, so you know, if you're in your 20s, dude, enjoy the 7-inch screen. But anyhow, I really like what I have here. It's been a lot of fun. I just want to, before I give you the tour, I want to call out a couple of things. I did not install Windows. I immediately installed Bazite onto it. Now, I went to the Bazite download list. If you're in this position, pay close attention. There's a drop-down menu, and you can choose which handheld you have. Now, the Claw A8 is not listed, so my inclination was to download the quote-unquote other distribution, and I did, and it was mostly fine. I had two problems. The first is sometimes when I would wake the handheld from sleep, it would go right back to sleep. Somebody on Reddit pointed out that all you have to do is change the automatic sleep timer to off, and then that problem goes away, which is perfect because I always just put my handhelds to sleep on my own. Now, the second problem that I had was the battery estimation was all over the place. Sometimes it would say 8 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. It was just a mess. It was never consistent. So I tried EC resets. I tried a complete battery, like disconnect, reconnect, and it didn't solve anything. I feel like it got a little bit better, but it didn't solve anything. Inside of Linux, there was a report that said I had about 80 watt hours, like 79.6. So that passed that test. And overall, I was just thinking like, there's something not quite right here. So I decided to download the Claw distribution, but in the description, it talks about the Intel-based Claw, the 8 AI Plus. But still, I downloaded that distribution and now I'm getting accurate battery life. And I don't know if the sleep problem is there because I just immediately disabled the sleep timer anyway. So now it's working very well. And I'll show you some of that here in a minute. But we do have to talk about the handheld's design because it is interesting. So at first, to me, it looks just like the original Ally, the white Ally, the Xbox, not the Xbox Ally, just the ROG Ally from, I think, 2023. Even down to the speaker grills, like placement and angles, it looks very similar. But of course, it's different. You get backlit face buttons, which are great. I love having that. I think every handheld should have them. And then backlit rings underneath the analog sticks. A very nice omnidirectional D-pad, front-facing speakers that they sound pretty good in Bazite. I've heard in Windows they sound amazing, but I can't testify to that. There is this odd, sharpness to the angles here instead of making them smooth, which, I kind of wish they hadn't done. I think aesthetically, it would be better if they were smooth, and I think ergonomically as well. But on the back, believe it or not, this is actually quite comfortable. These jet out quite a bit, and I love holding on to them with my fingers. It's great, and getting to the back buttons is easy, even though I don't actually use them at all. So I'm very impressed with what they've done here. The two-tone design, I think, is great. I wouldn't want an all-white handheld, but I wouldn't mind an all-black one. I am a bit partial to white on black just because of I grew up during the time of G.I. Joes, and I like Storm Shadow, especially the later versions, well, later for me, version of Storm Shadow, where he was in a black and white, kind of like a checkered or leopard design. It's super cool. So Storm Shadow is my man, and this reminds me of Storm Shadow. All right, I'll stop talking about that. It is a dual fan cooling system with exhaust up here at the top. I'm just covering up the barcode here, guys, because I haven't ripped it off yet. So hopefully you can still get a good sense of how this thing looks. On the top, we have a power button with a built-in fingerprint reader. This will only work in Windows, to my knowledge. 2 USB-C ports, a micro SD card slot, headphone jack, and power buttons. Power button placement is fantastic. So what you can do when you want to change the volume button, though, that's fantastic. If you want to change the volume, you're holding onto your handheld, you just rotate up like this. So I take my left hand up, I bring this part down, you get to my buttons, I'm good to go. You don't have to climb over it like this. You don't have to set it down and then go to the middle. You can just, like that. It's pretty great. Okay, let me power it on. Very quick to resume from sleep. Give me a second to type in my super secret password. and here we are. This is Mio. This is a Metroidvania that I'm running at 12 watts. So you press these bottom buttons to get access to the Steam interface. You'll notice the battery life is rated at 1 hour and 50 minutes, which is very low for a 12 watt TDP. If we look at the overall system draw, so we turn this up, right now we're at 45, 46 watts. Now, if we double click, we get into handheld daemon, and this is where you can change your TDP modes and stuff. So right now I'm in custom mode because it just pulled it from the previous, from the Bazite settings and pulled it in here to set it. So if I drop this down, right now we're at 38 watts, I take off the TDP boost, this should climb down a little bit to help with that battery life. Now we're down to 33, 25. So with 25, now my battery life is back up to about 3 hours. So if you figure 25 watts going into an 80 watt hour battery, that'd just be 80 divided by 25, which is a little more than 3 hours. If I'm doing the math correctly in my head, but we're actually, it's a little over 3 hours. So it's about right. Okay, 25 times 3 is 75, leaves 5 watts left over. This thing's gonna shut off when it gets to 5% anyway. It's just it's a setting that I think you can change, but that's how it is for now. So the battery reporting has definitely become more accurate now, and I'm really glad for that because it was driving me crazy. One of the reasons I bought this is for that bigger battery, and I wanted a good battery life and a better estimate. Okay, so I have, just like you can with regular Steam OS, this is Bazite again, you can adjust your frame limit, you can enable or disable VRR, and you can do some other things to improve your frames, but it doesn't have the level of sophistication that the Windows-based version of this handheld will allow. So if you install Windows on it, which it has out of the box, then you get access to Center M and the Intel drivers. And in fact, they just released frame generation, like version 3 of XeXX, and apparently it's freaking awesome. Yeah, kind of wish I had access to that, but I mostly play these 2D platformer Metroidvania titles, so I don't actually need them. I also don't need an $1,100 handheld to play those games. I can play them on my Steam Deck or on my Legion Go 1, which has an even bigger screen, but I wanted that combination of 80 watt hour battery, 8-inch screen, and comfort, and this fits the bill perfectly. Of course, I do wish that it had like actual support for Steam OS, like actual Steam OS. I wish it had, Bazite weren't testing in beta their support for this device, but it's so cool that you can just go download it and install it and off you go. And it mostly works very, very well. So I'm very thankful to the people at Bazite for doing this. And I hope somehow they can get compensated appropriately. Maybe there's a donate button on the website. I'll go take a look after this, I promise. So yeah, with VRR, it helps you with those low frame rates. So disabling TDP boost, I'm only at like 45 to 50 frames per second, but with the VRR, that helps smooth things out. If it dips down a little lower, like during a boss battle, I'll be in good shape, no problem. So your start and select buttons will be up here. This would be select and this would be start. So you get into your system menu and you can, like in a Metroidvania, pretty much every single one, this is how you get access to your map. And having a bigger screen is absolutely required for me at my advanced age. It is so helpful. And I travel, here and there for work as well, sometimes 5-6 hour flights. So being able to play for extended time without needing to find a charger or take one of those heavy power banks with me, that's a huge advantage that I'm really thankful for. So that is my set of first impressions of the MSI Claw. When I come back to you guys, I'll have more detailed impressions and performance information. I'm gonna test out Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, Cyberpunk, all the usual suspects. But for me to give you the initial impression, it's gonna have to be based on the games that I play the most, which are these types of games. So I hope you found this helpful. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.